Hi Warriors, this is Unit 11, Lesson 5, Drugs, and this is going to be Part 1 where we'll focus on stimulants. Lesson 5, we will characterize psychoactive drugs, what they are, how they affect our brains, how they affect our bodies, and how they affect our expectations. First, a psychoactive drug is a chemical substance that alters perceptions and moods and can lead to physical and psychological addiction. So psychoactive drugs may distort our perceptions, they may change our moods, they may cause us to see and hear things that are not there. The overall effect not only is biological, but it also depends on our expectations. For example, like if one culture assumes that a particular drug produces euphoria and another one doesn't, each culture may find its expectations fulfilled. This makes me think of the differences in America with alcohol consumption versus the differences in Europe. People in Europe have been exposed to alcohol most of their lives. And so there's a big difference in how teenagers perceive alcohol and use. So why might a person who rarely drinks alcohol get buzzed on one can of beer while a long-term drinker shows few effects until they've had much more to drink? The answer is tolerance. The continued use of alcohol and some other drugs, which marijuana is an exception, the user's brain chemistry adapts to offset the drug effect. To experience the same effect, the user requires larger and larger doses. In a chronic alcohol abuse, for example, the person's brain, heart, and liver suffer damage from the excessive amounts of alcohol being tolerated. Ever-increasing doses of most psychoactive drugs can pose a serious threat to health and may lead to addiction. The person craves and uses the substance despite its adverse consequences. Regular users often try to fight their addiction, but stopping the drug may lead to the undesirable side effects of withdrawal. I liken these feelings to obsessive-compulsive disorder because an addict will obsess about obtaining and using a drug. So the obsession is thinking about how am I going to use, how am I going to get what I need next, and the compulsion is to actually ingest the drug, to use the drug. An addict's day is really consumed with thinking about how am I going to get it. So withdrawal symptoms are a signal of a regular user of an addiction, and as the body responds to drugs' absence, the user may feel the physical pain and intense cravings indicating the physical dependence. People can also develop a psychological dependence, mainly for stress-relieving drugs like alcohol, nicotine. Although not always physically addictive, such drugs may become an important part of the user's life, often as a way of relieving negative emotions. For someone who is either physically or psychologically dependent, obtaining and using the drug can become a day's focus. Categories of drugs that affect consciousness include depressants, stimulants, and hallucinogens. A stimulant excites neural activity and speeds up body functions. As it is exactly what it says, a stimulant speeds everything up. Our pupils dilate, our heart and breathing rates increase, and blood sugar levels rise, causing a drop in appetite. This is why people gain weight when they quit smoking. Energy and self-confidence also rise. Stimulants include drugs like caffeine, nicotine, amphetamines, cocaine, methamphetamine, and ecstasy. People use stimulants to feel alert, lose weight, or boost mood or athletic performance. Unfortunately, stimulants can be addictive, as you may know if you're one of those who use caffeine on a daily basis. If you're a regular caffeine user, when your use is cut off from your usual dose, you may crash into fatigue, headaches, irritability, and depression. A mild dose of caffeine typically lasts 3 to 4 hours, which if taken in the evening may be long enough to impair your sleep. Nicotine is one of the most addictive stimulants. It's found in cigarettes and other tobacco products. A teen to the grave smoker, we're talking like picking it up when you're a teenager, has a 50% chance of dying from the habit. And each year, tobacco kills nearly 5.4 million of its 1.3 billion customers worldwide, for goodness sakes. By 2030, annual deaths are expected to increase to 8 million. Those addicted to nicotine find it very hard to quit because tobacco products are as powerfully and quickly addictive as heroin and cocaine. Attempts to quit, even within the first weeks of smoking, often fail. As with other addictions, smokers become dependent and they develop tolerance. Quitting causes nicotine withdrawal symptoms, including cravings, insomnia, anxiety, irritability, and distractibility. Nicotine-deprived smokers trying to focus on a task experience a tripled rate of mind wandering. When not craving a cigarette, they tend to underestimate the power of such craving. All it takes to relieve this aversive state is a cigarette, a portable nicotine dispenser. Within 7 seconds, a rush of nicotine signals the central nervous system to release a flood of neurotransmitters. Epinephrine and norepinephrine diminish appetite and boost alertness and mental efficiency. Dopamine and opioids calm anxiety and reduce sensitivity to pain. These rewards keep people smoking even among the 8 in 10 smokers who wish they could stop. Each year, fewer than 1 in 7 smokers who want to quit will be able to resist. Asked, if you had to do it all over again, would you start smoking? More than 85% of adult smokers have answered no. Half of all Americans who have ever smoked have quit, sometimes aided by a nicotine replacement drug, and with encouragement from a telephone counselor or a support group. Success is likely whether smokers quit abruptly or gradually. So, going cold turkey versus weaning yourself off of it. For those who endure, the small craving and withdrawal symptoms gradually dissipate over the ensuing 6 months. After a year's abstinence, only 10% will relapse in the next year. These non-smokers may live not only healthier, but also happier lives. Smoking correlates with higher rates of depression, chronic disability, and divorce. Healthy living seems to add both years to life and life to years. The one way to not get addicted to nicotine is to never try it. So that's my advice.
It takes only 1 cigarette to light up, 2 or 3 before you're hooked, and possibly a lifetime to quit. The powerful force behind the addiction: nicotine, an alkaloid, a naturally occurring nitrogen-containing compound derived from plants. There are plenty of known alkaloids, including caffeine and morphine.
The fact is that nicotine is highly addictive when it's inhaled in the combination of chemicals that are in tobacco smoke. When you burn tobacco in a cigarette and inhale it, you're getting not just nicotine and various carcinogens and toxins, you're getting several thousand chemicals in various concentrations.
But Dr. Ross says nicotine isn't what kills. It's the constant inhalation of smoke and chemicals that can lead to chronic bronchitis, emphysema, lung disease, or an early death.
People generally smoke for the nicotine, but they die from the smoke. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Many people out in the community, many smokers even, believe that it's the nicotine that's the killer in the tobacco smoke. But it's not.
Here's how it works. Once the cigarette is lit, the high temperatures from the burning tobacco produce a huge variety of toxic chemicals. Those chemical reactions would normally not take place under non-combustion conditions, like using the patch, or the gum, or the electronic cigarette. Current smoking trends suggest 1 billion people will die prematurely from cigarette smoke inhalation in the 21st century. And yet, a recent British survey shows 40% of physicians think nicotine is the carcinogen in cigarettes. That long-standing misconception is perhaps the key factor in the latest scrutiny of electronic cigarettes.
E-cigarettes. More are turning to electronic cigarettes.
It's a device aimed at helping addicted smokers quit, delivering the nicotine to the body, emitting vapor, not smoke. E-cigarette critics say we simply don't know enough about what's in the device. At a recent New York City Council hearing, Dr. Ross said, "We simply do, and it's far less toxic than the real thing."
We sure do know what's in the vapor. Nothing harmful is in the vapor. Studies done by Dr. Igor Burstein at Drexel, published in the journal, clearly demonstrated that there were no significant health threats from vapor toxicants.
ACTIA's Facebook page Helping Addicted Smokers echoes that support, with more than 30,000 fans and ex-smokers sharing personal stories of struggle with cigarettes and triumph with the alternative. The New York City Council, however, voted to ban the use of electronic cigarettes indoors.
The reasons why this is an important message is people have misconceptions about nicotine and the various toxins in cigarettes, and they get them mixed up. And we need to make the message clear that it's not the nicotine that's killing smokers. It's the smoke. And if we can give them the nicotine without the smoke, we'll probably be doing a great service.
For Action, I'm Anna Samovska.
Now that vaping has been around for a while, I wonder if Dr. Ross's opinion has changed. And I would also be curious to know if he has any ties to some of those vaping industry e-cigarettes. Questions that I have when watching that video. Let's pause there and create a new video over psychoactive drugs for what you have next.